الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده سبحانه وتعالى حمد المعترفين بأنعمه العظيمة وآلائه الجسيمة. اللهم لك الحمد يا ربنا، أنت أحق أن تحمد، ولك الشكر، أنت أحق أن تشكر، وأنت على كل شيء قدير، لك العتبى حتى ترضى، ولا حول ولا قوة لنا إلا بك. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة، وجاهد في الله حق الجهاد حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على الحبيب المصطفى محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبع هداه إلى يوم الدين، وارض عنا معهم بفضلك وكرمك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم آمين. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of heavens and earth, the provider, the cherisher, the sustainer, the bestower of bounties, the grantor of gifts. I thank Allah for the blessings that He has granted us and our loved ones and our families and our friends and everyone that we care about. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those undeserved blessings. And we ask Allah to make us worthy of those blessings. Allahumma ameen. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship save Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Allah's final prophet and messenger, the bearer of glad tidings, the role model to be followed, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon the Prophet and his family, his descendants and companions and their followers, and all righteous men and women that walk in their footsteps. And I ask Allah to make each and every single one of us among them. Allahumma ameen. My dear brothers and sisters, I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of the most incredible stories told in the Quran is that of Luqman alayhi salam. He is not a prophet. He is a sage, a teacher, a man of great wisdom, yet there is an entire chapter in the Quran that is named after him. And he has an incredible story. Dawood alayhi salam is the king of the kingdom of the Hebrews. And he knows that his son Sulaiman is basically the crown prince that will become king after him. So Dawood alayhi salam wants that his son is mentored properly. He's looking for a teacher. So he sends his soldiers and his ministers all around the civilized world at the time in order to find a teacher. And he could not find the teacher within the kingdom of Israel itself. So they venture out into other places of the world. And in a small village in the south of Sudan, the ministers of Sulaiman alayhi salam, of Dawood alayhi salam, found this great sage, and his name was Luqman. This African, dark-skinned, extremely knowledgeable man that lived in Sudan at his time. So Dawood alayhi salam invited him to come to Jerusalem in order to make an audience with him. And he arrived, and he said, I want to entrust your hands with the most important mission in my own life, and that is to take care of my own child. Can you do that? And Luqman said, I would be honored, but my family resides in Sudan. What do I do? He said, your entire family comes here if it is your wish. And according to some sources, the scholars would say that he actually had his entire tribe, all of them, move into Palestine. Some sources say that this is why there are black Jews, believe it or not. Because the entire family of Luqman alayhi salam moved into Jerusalem in order to be close to the king, Dawood alayhi salam, and in order to mentor his son, Sulaiman. Just a little note here for parents who find it difficult to spend money and time and resources on the education of their children. Just pay attention to what Dawood did. He's the king, he's busy. He could have, for all practical purposes, just taught his son to be a good king, to teach him politics and teach them military strategies and things like that. But he wanted to teach him the deen. So he brought him this knowledgeable man of monotheism, Luqman alayhi salam, in order to teach him. Some always ask the question, Are you kidding me? They couldn't find any rabbis. They couldn't find any great teachers in Palestine in order to teach Sulaiman. Why travel to another country, venture into Africa in order to find the teacher? I will share with you some ayat in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coins a conversation that happened between Luqman and his own son, just so that you understand the depth of knowledge that this man had and why he was actually worthy of this appointment, this royal appointment by the king of the civilized world, the king of the Israelites at the time, Dawood alayhi salam. So in Surah Luqman, the surah that is actually named after Luqman alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what he said to his son. So I want you to imagine, and by the way, when it says his son, it could, for all practical purposes, mean his daughter. Luqman was having a conversation with his child. Whether it was his son or his daughter, it doesn't really matter. So I want you to imagine that you take your son or you take your daughter and you go on a trail. And you take a beautiful walk out in nature. What types of conversations do you have with them? Or perhaps I should ask the question, do you even take walks with your children in the first place? Do you spend that kind of quality time with your kids? So I always imagine Luqman taking his son or his daughter out on a walk. And he starts having this beautiful, incredible conversation with this child. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. He said by way of admonishing his child, my son or my daughter, do not take partners with Allah. Do not commit shirk. This is a foundational idea that he had to share with his son. Do not commit shirk. Do not take any partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for shirk is a grievous sin. There's nothing in the world that Allah hates more than you thinking that there's something else that is elevated to his status. Right? That's the first advice. And I will talk about some of this stuff at length in a bit. But just hear me out for a second. Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. Do not take partners with Allah. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, right? وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ. Reminds his son or his child of the parents and importance of honoring the parents and taking care of the parents. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. We have admonished man to take care of his or her parents. Why? Because it is your mother that was bearing you in her belly for 9 months, pain upon pain, travails upon travails. And it took 2 years at least for your weaning process. And throughout that period, you were literally physically attached to your mother. You're attached to your parents. You are so dependent on them. You cannot even survive without them. You will die without your parents. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us through the words of Luqman alayhi salam that after God, there is our parents. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and honoring Allah, we honor our parents. And when we honor our parents, our children will honor us as well. It has to work this way. You cannot disrespect your parents and expect that your kids will respect you. You cannot sever relationship with your parents and expect that your kids will treat you nicely. You honor your parents and you sacrifice for their sake, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you when your own children sacrifice for your sake as well. Third, يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله. Reminds his son in a very interesting philosophical conversation. A lot of parents, they don't talk to their kids about philosophy. We don't talk about profound meanings in life. We talk to them about halal and haram and do's and don'ts. But Luqman alayhi salam, he has this profound conversation with his son or his child, and he says, if it is an object that is as big as a mustard seed, something that is so small, and it is hidden in a rock, or hidden somewhere in the corners of the galaxies, in the corners of the universe, or hidden on earth somewhere, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about it, and He will bring it forth. After establishing Tawheed, monotheism, right, that you don't commit shirk, you don't take partners with Allah, Luqman alayhi salam establishes the value of our parents. And then establishes to his child why it is important to honor Allah. It's not lip service. It is because Allah occupies that central location in our hearts, in the universe. He knows about you. He knows what you do. He can bring forth, even if it's a tiny little object that is hidden in the middle of the rock, Allah knows about it. In other words, Allah knows what's in your heart. He knows your weaknesses and your tendencies. He knows when you get angry. He knows when you get happy. He knows when you are in a state of joy. He knows when you are in a state of agony. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is full aware of the state of your heart and the state of your existence, right? What you hide from other people, you cannot hide from Allah. What you think you can do in privacy, there is no privacy with Allah Azza wa Jal, because His watchful eyes are on you 24/7 of your existence. And then number 4, He speaks to His child and He says, Ya bunayya aqim as-salah. Ya bunayya aqim as-salah. Establish your prayers. I mean, of course, after I take Allah as one, I honor my parents, I understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves my honor and my respect and my love, then I fulfill my religious obligations. After those meanings have been established in the heart, then I fulfill my religious obligations. أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك. Fulfill your acts of worship and your religious obligations, and there will be consequences when you do that. People will make fun of you. People will attack you. When you enjoin what is right, when you forbid what is wrong, when you're the only student in high school that is trying to do things that are halal, and everyone else and all the peer pressure is telling you do wrong, and they're attacking you, and they're making fun of you, and they're calling you a terrorist. It says at the very end, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. This is not going to happen without a cost. And you need to persevere with what will happen to you if you follow this advice. Ya Allah. He tells his child what to do, and he prepares his child psychologically for the consequences as well. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ. Do not move your cheek away from people in contempt. Like, man, disgusting. Stay away from me. Acting arrogantly with other people. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ. Do not act arrogantly with other people. Do not think that you are better than other people. See? He's trying to temper his child as well. Goes into the area of behavior. So you establish God, you honor your parents, you establish your acts of worship, and then you adjust your behavior. See? This is the 4 foundations of the advice that Luqman alayhi salam is giving to his son. Do not act arrogantly with people. وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَاغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. Be deliberate in your course. Know where you're headed. Have a plan in your life. اقصد في مشيك. اقصد from قصد. And قصد is غاية, is objective, is goal. Don't just do things just cause. As some young people say. Don't just do it because whatever. اقصد في مشيك, meaning in your endeavors in life, always have a purpose. Always have a goal. On any journey you embark upon, any effort you do, even entertainment, even fun, always have a goal. Well, I need to wind down a little bit in order to get back into the grind of life. I need to entertain myself a little bit the halal way in order to be strong in my acts of worship. I need to have a little fun in order to take care of my responsibilities. There's always a goal, an objective. اقصد في مشيك واغضض من صوتك. Lower your voice. Lower your voice. You know, when you go to those social gatherings and somebody cracks a joke and people laugh so loudly, it pierces your ears. You know how Allah characterizes this in the Quran? He says this sounds like the braying of a donkey, which is the most hated. I mean, we don't hate donkeys. We don't see the donkeys in this country when you think about it. We don't see them at all. We see horses and stuff like that. But when you hear the braying of the donkey, this really loud, offensive sound that the donkey makes, right? Those of you who have experienced it before, it is really annoying and it's irritating. In the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when people raise their voices, unnecessarily in social gatherings and in their meetings, and laugh so loudly, right? And disregard others, and invade the privacy of others, or driving their cars with their music so loud. Why do I need to hear your music? You enjoy your own music. Why? I don't care about your music. Why do I need to hear it? Why do I need to listen? Why are you imposing your own choices on me, right? All of this is what Luqman alayhi salam is advising his child not to do. Be humble. Be deliberate. Have a purpose. Have a goal. Do not think you are above others. Do not raise your voice, because very, very loud voice in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or in the ears of Allah rather, is like the braying of a donkey. Right? Again, what is it that Luqman is trying to do here with his child? Again, I said it's four, the foundations. This advice pivots on those four things. God, parents, acts of worship and religious obligations, behavior. Do I say it again? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is first and foremost. He's the center. What pleases Allah, what makes Allah happy, what makes Allah content. Not what makes me happy, not what gives me instant gratification. What makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy comes first. What makes my parents happy comes second. Honoring, and by the way, when we honor our parents, we also honor our families. It establishes this foundational concept that family comes first. Family is more important than anything in the world. It's more important than friends. It's more important than career. It's more important than making money. It's more important than community obligations. Allah and family come before anything else in this world, right? Third, you need to act on these assumptions. Right? How do I act on the assumptions? I cannot say Allah is one and not worship Him, and not offer my prayers, and not enjoin what is right, and not forbid what is wrong, and not be patient and persevere with the consequences of making good choices in the world, right? 4 is to adjust your own behavior, the way you treat people, the way you carry yourself publicly, your sense of dignity, your sense of honor, how you treat others. The world does not revolve around you. You have to understand that you live with other people who have rights and they have responsibilities as well. It's not just about you. You live in a world and you're surrounded by other people. How do you behave around those other people? And how do you carry yourself with those other people? That is the advice of Luqman. Again, God, parents, religious obligations, and behavior. Okay, 4. That's what I want you to memorize today. Why do I bring this up today? Because summer has started. Summer season has started. And summer is a very interesting season because it can be the source of the utmost joy, and it can be the source of great misery. A lot of people in the summer, they enhance their skills, they learn more, they read, they do sports, they travel. They really take advantage of their summer, and they're much happier at the end of the summer. And other people, summer for them is a season of boredom, is a season of sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. It's a season of, I don't know what to do with my life. It's a season of, experimenting with sinful behavior and doing terrible things because you're bored, right? The Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ الْقُلُوبَ إِذَا كَلَّتْ عَمِيَتْ. When the hearts are bored, they become blind. When your heart is bored, you become blind. You will make terrible choices, right? So as the summer starts, I wanted somehow to derive inspiration from the advice of Luqman alayhi salam to his own children, to his own family, and see how we, as parents and as kids, in this interesting relationship that we have with each other, right? I am a parent, but I'm also a child. My mom, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her soul, she's around. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give her another 30 years, right? Every single one of us, unless you are, not as fortunate as the rest of us, and you've lost both of your parents, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept them in the highest level of Jannah. You can still honor them, by the way, even in their death. But most of us, we are both parents and children, or either parents or children. And the advice that I want to share with you today, inspired by Luqman alayhi salam, might actually help us as we start this summer season. Okay? Number 1, establish a mission statement for the summer. What is your mission in the summer? Inspired by your mission statement in life. And by the way, if you don't have a mission statement in life as a family, you will have no mission statement in the summer either. I know some families, and unfortunately, I don't do that personally. I'll be the first to admit. But I know some brothers in the community that have a mission statement for their families, and it's hanging on the wall. Their mission statement as a family is hanging on the wall because it establishes what's important for this family, what the priorities are for this family. Right? And I advise you, I'm not joking. I plan to do that, inshallah ta'ala, with my own family today. When I go home today, I will do that. I will put a piece of paper on the wall, and I will hang it on the wall. in order to remind myself first and foremost, but also remind my family members of those four things, right? Allah, family, your obligations, and your behavior. Those are the four things. So that you are reminded every step of the way, what do I do and why do I do it? To what end? To what purpose? And does it serve my mission in this world? And if you have a mission as a family, then it's very easy to have a mission for the summer, right? So I say, summer is a time in which we need to set goals for our families and goals for ourselves as well. So, okay, do I need to memorize more Quran this summer? Do I need to read books this summer? Is there a class that I can take this summer? Is there a skill that I can acquire this summer? Is there a place in the world that I can visit this summer? Why can't we be ambitious? Cast aside a week or two or 10 days and take your family somewhere that you've never been. And spend quality time with the family. And actually, it's not just about entertainment and where we're going to eat and with the theme parks that we're going to go to. It's also about conversations. It's about quality time. It's about learning lessons from the places that we will go to, right? You go to a place where it was an ancient civilization. You talk to the children about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows civilizations to rise and then He causes them to fall, right? There's always got to be some deep lesson that we learn even when we travel on vacations, okay? But again, don't make it too boring for the kids because they don't like all the preaching. So you got to keep the preaching on the light side and focus more on the fun and the entertainment, but there still has to be lessons. Growing up, I don't remember the places that I went to with my parents, but I remember the advice that my dad gave me in those places. I remember the words of gold that he shared with me. Don't make it all preaching and all seriousness, but don't make it all fun and entertainment either, with no substance, with no meat. There's got to be some meat, right? So you have to have a mission statement as a family, but you also have to have goals and objectives for the summer as a family and as individuals as well. Maybe once every 2 weeks we're going to get up, inshallah, before Fajr and pray tahajjud together, right? Maybe, we will be able to memorize one surah together as a family, or read a small book together as a family that every member of the family can benefit from. The point is, your plan is different than my plan, but the point is there's got to be a plan for the summer. That's number one. Number two, Luqman alayhi salam, it's amazing to me that he actually spent time with his children. He's the big shot government official, right? The mentor of Sulaiman alayhi salam himself, the crown prince of the kingdom. Yet he still made time to spend with his own children. And the story doesn't say that Luqman's wife was spending time with the kids, right? It says that Luqman himself was spending. The man who has a job, who has a career. A lot of brothers in this day and age, they get away from the parenting thing because they think it's the mother's job. Whereas you examine the life of the prophets. Who commissioned Luqman? It wasn't Sulaiman's mom. It was his dad. You see the Prophet ﷺ and how he was with his own kids. You see Luqman ﷺ and how he was with his own kids. You see Yaqub ﷺ and how he was with his own kids. It's all stories about men rearing the children and not women raising the children, right? We lose sight of that sometimes and we get busy and we think, my job in the world is to make money and then come home, watch TV. The mother is the one that takes care of the children. That is absolutely false. So we spend time with the children. We spend time, and if you are a child, spend time with your parents. See, I said it goes both ways. It's even if your parents are young, you're in middle school. I'm just a kid, Imam. I'm just a kid. What obligations do I have? Well, learn about your obligations from now so you can keep it up when you grow up. If you don't spend time with your parents when you're in middle school and high school, I guarantee it, your parents will be elderly and they will be weak and they will be frail and they have illnesses and diseases, and you're still going to be neglectful of them. You're still going to be neglectful of them. And we always say this, right, to children. Your parents don't necessarily have to be angry with you for Allah to cut off all the blessings. Your parents just need to feel ill about you in their hearts, even if they don't verbalize it or articulate it. Allah will snip all the blessings that are coming to you. If the blessings are coming like rain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will block that. Why? just because your parents may feel hurt by you in their hearts. So you complain and you say, I don't know why my life is miserable. I don't know why I'm unhappy. Ask yourself, what is my relationship with my parents? Ask yourself that question right now. Young kids, but also adults. Because many of us, we have elderly parents. Do we honor our elderly parents? Do we visit them regularly? Do we take care of them? They live in some foreign country over there. Who's taking care of them? Who spends on them? Who makes sure that they take their medication? Who's giving them company and listening to them tell stories? Do you think that the upkeep of our parents is to put them somewhere and give them money and food and that's it? It takes a lot more than that to honor our parents. You sit with them and you talk to them and you listen to them and you practice patience and perseverance with their somehow peculiar attitude sometimes when they get up there in age. That's what the Quran tells us. وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ. Allah says in the Quran. The longer you live, the less clear your mind becomes. That's what the Quran says. And we have to put up with our parents. And we have to be patient with our parents and persevere with our parents, even when they're unreasonable, even when they give us an attitude, even when they have very high expectations. They are our parents. After Allah comes, our parents. That's what the surah says. We're not making it up. You want to have this blessed life? Practice it. So we need to spend time with our children, and children, we need to spend time with our parents. And here's the thing, and this is my advice to younger people. Sometimes you complain that your parents are not having deep conversations with you. They're just telling you don't do this and stay away from that. Okay? I feel that it takes, two to tango, as they say. You have to show your parents your willingness to listen. I am pretty sure that Luqman would not have talked to his own child about this unless his child showed him that he's interested. Hey Dad, I would love to spend time with you and I want to listen to what you have to say. And you know what? Don't worry. I know I'm young, but you can lay it down on me. Tell me all the complex, philosophical stuff about this life. I want to hear it. But when you act in an attitude that you're not interested in your parents and their company and spending time with them and TV and Netflix and video games and your own friends and your phone, all of that matter to you a lot more than your own parents, then your parents are not going to be encouraged to spend time with you. They're not going to be encouraged to, at least share the deep stuff with you. Your dad would rather talk to his friend because his friend is going to be more agreeable than to talk to his own child because the child is just not giving that proper attention. Right? I know that we're always hard on the parents, but sometimes we need to speak the truth. And we need to say that the kids as well, they also have to play their part so that there is a conversation that is going on. And at the same time, parents cannot always think that, oh, my kids are young, my kids are stupid, my kids are this, my kids are that, and we're not sharing with them the real important stuff about this life. They're not interested. Look at them, they're just busy with their video games. And you give yourself an excuse not to have profound conversations with your children. Right? This is really important to emphasize again as the summer approaches because many of us have a lot more time than the rest of the year. So this conversation becomes as relevant as ever. And so what I established here is that there needs to be a mission statement for life. There needs to be objectives for the summer. That parents need to put the effort to spend quality time with their kids. And kids, they need to put an effort to show their parents that they're interested in having a conversation with them. Take initiatives at home. You don't always have to wait for your parents to tell you do's and don'ts. Surprise them. Occasionally do something that your parents love, just because they love it. Obey your parents even if it's something that you don't like, just because it pleases them. You know what? I'll do it because it makes my mom happy. That's it. That's the only reason. That's the only good reason. There's no other reason. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. But occasionally you invest in that relationship by doing something against your will just to please your parents. That's what we did growing up. It would be the most unfathomable thing for us. Hey, my mom wants this. Done. Done. If that's going to make my mom happy, I'll do it. Short of putting myself in physical harm, I will do it. Because this makes my parents happy. This type of investment is that one tiny little thing that a lot of kids growing up in the West do not have and they do not understand. You don't understand how huge it'll be and how profound it'll impact your relationship with your parents if you make that investment. And your dad will be like, I know they don't want to do this, but they're doing it for me. Man, that means so much. That means so much. And from that point on, you're getting more advantages and more perks and more things. Even the stuff that you've never asked for. But it'll come just because you've invested with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. And a lot of people say, well, my parents did not raise me well. They did not send me to Sunday school. They did not teach me how to pray. They did not honor me. Why should I honor them? It's like this man that came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to him, well, my dad is this and my dad is that, and he wants to know about my money and he wants to know about my investments, and I don't want to share with him anything like that. So what does he say? Anta wa maluka li abik. You and your wealth belong to your dad. Period. Period. When you make that investment with your parents, you're making it with Allah. Even if your parents don't deserve it, by the way. Even if your parents are not even Muslim. What does the ayah say in Surah Luqman that I just recited? وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If they try so hard to take you away from the path and to make you a mushrik, don't obey them. However, you still need to do what? وَصَاحِبُهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. You still need to give them an honorable and good company in this world, even if your parents are drug dealers. Even if your parents are gang leaders. They're not Muslims and they are trying to push you away from the path of Islam, you honor them. For their own sake? No. For Allah's sake. Because after Allah comes our parents. And after that, our religious obligations. And after that, changing our behavior so that we honor the people around us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us our sins, to establish us firmly on His path, to remove arrogance from our hearts. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to humble our character and our behavior, to increase the love that we have for our children and to increase the love that they have for us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring us closer to Him and to prod us with His wisdom and His grace closer to the path of the deen. Allahumma ameen. Brothers and sisters, raise your hands and speak to Allah Azza wa Jal from the heart. ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وقائد الغر الميامين محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وارض عنا معهم بفضلك وكرمك أرحم الراحمين. اللهم آمين. My dear brothers and sisters, since mashallah there are so many of you today that may not come regularly to Salatul Jum'ah because you have school or whatever, let me just remind you of a couple of adab of Salatul Jum'ah. The Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba once, if you are playing with pebbles while listening to the khutbah, your Jum'ah is void. So imagine yourself literally just playing with the carpet like this. Just very, very harmless, right? If you're moving some pebbles around, your Jum'ah is void. If someone says Assalamu alaikum and you say Wa alaikum assalam to them, your Jum'ah is void. If you are on your phone sending text messages or updating your Instagram, your Jum'ah is void. You're literally just wasted an hour of your life. If you have conversations with someone next to you during Salatul Jum'ah, during the khutbah, once the Imam gets on the minbar, the angels leave the door and they actually come sit in order to listen to the khatib. The angels themselves leave their job, which is to write down people's names as they come to the masjid, and they listen. And if the angels themselves listen, I think it behooves us to find a way to listen as well. So if you've never heard it before, playing with your phone, talking to someone, making remarks during khutbatul Jum'ah voids your Jum'ah. Some scholars actually said it voids it to the extent that you have to pray dhuhr. Can it be more serious than that? It voids it to the extent that you actually have to pray dhuhr 4 rak'ahs after Salatul Jum'ah is over, right? So I just want to make sure that you are reminded of this, because alhamdulillah, it's quite rare that this happens here, but I figured I need to remind you of this. Today, we talked about the conversation that Luqman alayhi salam had with his child. And we said that the foundation, that this conversation was built upon 4 foundations, right? Number 1, honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, honoring our parents. Number 3, taking care of our acts of worship and our religious obligations, including enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong, and advising others and spreading good in our own society and being patient with the consequences. And 4, changing our own behavior, how we carry ourselves in public and how we treat others, so that we are able to honor people that live around us, right? This is the foundation of Luqman's advice to his child, radiallahu anhu arda. Luqman al-Hakim, right? They used to call him Luqman the Wise, right? Such a beautiful name to be known by across the centuries. And I said that this advice is important as we embark upon our summer experience, and I shared with you why. This summer, inshallah, what we decided to do as a team of khatibs, across all of our 3 locations, is that we're going to take this hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Bayhaqi, hadith that all of you heard before. And this hadith, it basically says that you need to take advantage of 5 before 5. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. You take advantage of 5 before 5. Each Friday over the next 5 weeks, inshallah, we're going to take one of these articles on the list of 5, and we were going to talk about it together. What does the Prophet ﷺ say in the hadith of Ibn Abbas? اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس شبابك قبل هرمك. Your youth before your old age. وصحتك قبل سقمك. And your health before your illness. وغناك قبل فقرك. And your wealth before your poverty. وفراغك قبل شغلك. And your free time before you get so extremely busy. وحياتك قبل موتك. And your life before your death. Each Friday we're going to take one of these and analyze it and dissect it, inshallah ta'ala, as we explore how to improve as individuals, as families, and as a community in the summer. And I wanted to end with one last thought here. I said earlier that the country of origin of Luqman alayhi salam was Sudan, right? Which made me think, it just occurred to me this morning when I was thinking about the khutbah. It made me think this morning about us and the people of Sudan right now. It made me think about the type of stuff that our minds are busy with, the type of things that our youth are thinking about, right? Versus the youth of the Sudan as we speak. All these young people that rose up against a government of tyrants, against military dictatorship that had ruled their lives for so long. And so far, I think over 1,000 people dead, over 1,000 people missing. Every day, women and children get raped in the Sudan, right? Who could have thought that? This massive conspiracy around the Muslim world that is organized by very wealthy Muslim countries, without naming them, you know exactly who I'm referring to, that is organized by the West in order to extinguish hope from the minds of Muslims, that you can live in a democracy, that you can have freedom, that you can have freedom of thought and generate good ideas and have strong economy, so that we continue to be dependent on the Western world, on the Christian Western world, psychologically and physically. So that we can continue to be gears in the engine that produces their food, that makes their cars, that makes their products, right? So all we do is that we become consumers in their markets. That's what they want us to be like. But once in a while, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends His beautiful signs. And we see after the Arab Spring was destroyed, after Egypt fell back into a military dictatorship, after Syria, was reduced to civil war, after Yemen is being obliterated to smithereens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still sends some signs of hope, and we see that the people of Sudan are rising again. And we thought that all hope is lost, and everybody just got busy with their lives, and they showed us that, alhamdulillah, there's still life in the heart of the ummah. And there's still good in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he says, al-khayru fiyya wa fi ummati ila yawm al-qiyamah. There will always be khayr and good in the ummah of Muhammad until the day of judgment. And this is my message to my young brothers and sisters, the high schoolers, the middle schoolers, the college students. Whatever it is that you think is a challenge in your life, I want you to read a couple of stories about the Sudan. And to see what those high schoolers in the Sudan, they go to school and they're not sure if they're going to come back home or not. Their challenge is to live in a democracy, is to take control of their own country and their own destiny. What is your challenge? What is your challenge? What is troubling you so much? People over there in Palestine or in Kashmir or in Iraq or in Syria or all these other places. Every single family lost someone, sometimes more than one. Some families were completely wiped out. There are children on the streets of Syria right now. Their mom, their dad, their siblings, their uncles, their aunts, every single member of their family is gone. And you have this 5-year-old toddler just literally walking the streets, picking food from the dumpsters. What is your challenge? What is your challenge? And those people will survive. And they will do what they can to be happy. People in Afghanistan, why are they better than us? Why are they stronger and more resilient than us? Because they don't take life for granted. Because they don't think that they're born with a silver spoon in their mouths. Because they don't think that they're entitled to anything. Everyone thinks that it is through their hustling and through their effort that they can acquire stuff. But we are born in this country in the luxury, and we think that we're entitled to things by virtue of being born here. I'm not trying to reprimand anyone. I'm just trying to remind you. Take a look at what is happening in the world. Read the news. Many of you are social media savvy. Follow the websites and follow the tweets and follow the Instagram accounts of people that are making us aware of what is happening in the world. It'll humble you. And it'll make your problems look so small in your eyes. And it'll give you a renewed sense of purpose. And a renewed sense of keenness about the ummah, because you are a member of the ummah. This is your people. And you cannot escape that fact or that reality. Someone that says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah has automatically become one of our brothers and sisters. And we have to be keen about them and understand what they're going through. And try to feel their pain and do even the tiny bit that we can in order to help them. A tiny little donation on a FundMe campaign on social media, or a dua, or sharing a post. But do something so that their cause is not lost. And they don't go down in the night and nobody hears their screams. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our good deeds and to forgive our sins and to establish us firmly on His path. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day to preserve the young brothers and sisters in our community, to help them overcome their challenges, to help them overcome their surrounding environment, overcome the weaknesses of their hearts. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them a solid and unequivocal sense of identity. I ask Allah to let our kids thrive and grow before our eyes and gradually take our places in this world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to let the children of our Muslim community grow and to become beautiful human beings, beautiful Muslims and beautiful members of this society. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that as we grow older in age, that we will not be fearful for the future of our Muslim community seeing them. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day to strengthen our masajid, our families, our leaders, our institutions, our sense of unity and solidarity as a community. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us repel evil with good. I ask Allah to make us instruments of spreading good and khair in this world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us always humble as we approach the challenges of the world, and to give us the wisdom to make better decisions under very difficult circumstances. Ya Allah, as you've gathered us here in this sacred place, we ask you to gather every single one of us and our loved ones in the highest level of Jannah under the shade of your throne and in the company of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma ameen. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اهدنا واجعلنا هداة مهديين لا ضالين ولا مضلين. نحب بحبك من أحبك ونعادي بعداوتك من عاداك. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في المشارق والمغارب يا رب العالمين. اللهم احقن دماءهم واحفظ أعراضهم وثبت الأرض من تحت أقدامهم وانصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا ربنا اجعلنا عونا لهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا.